Hey guys, good morning. So I should have known if I made a specific person video that there was going to have to be follow-ups. I usually go through this topic maybe once a year, a little bit. I think I make a video on the topic of my own specific person, what I did with that, probably about once a year. And I think it's good because every year that goes by, there's more insight and it's a little different. So I wanted to talk again about what I did. And I'm also going to say this time, I think you should do what I did because it was really good, and it pretty clearly had a direct impact on the person involved. And so, where do I start with this? I don't want to go too deeply into it, but when I first started reading Neville Goddard and putting together what Neville was saying with like the science of getting rich and my own experience with manifestation over the previous 20 years. When I first found Neville Goddard, I was in a really weird state of mind. I had just had a major shift in self-concept that had changed everything for the better. And that was kind of what was driving me to seek, what just happened and how do I get more of it? Really, it was really like, how do I continue this? Because I see what just happened. I've got this proof in front of me that a change in how you view yourself will change everything in your world. And so anyway, ended up finding the works of Neville Goddard by accident. My ex sent me a link to a video where somebody was talking about one of Neville's books. And so I started reading everything I could by Neville. Everything. Read it all. Read every book, obviously. And started, over the next probably 6 months, I read, I think, every single lecture that he ever gave that's online in print format. And so that led me to the Neville Goddard subreddit, and the only thing being discussed anywhere online by people, having to do with Neville Goddard, literally, like the only thing I found was people talking about specific person stuff. And at the time, I was not familiar with these people, and being kind of an open-minded person in general, I thought, wow, like people are doing this? Like this is part of this? I just didn't, for me, I was thinking, I totally get how you manifest people because I manifested Gene, my business partner, my former boyfriend. I manifested him. That was really, really obvious that he was manifested just because it happened so quickly in response to a very, very clear intention I had for something I was absolutely ready for and had no resistance to receiving. 3 days. So I knew that it's not like people were off limits, but this whole idea of directly influencing another person to feel a way about you that they don't, I was like, wow, that's pretty crazy. And I wasn't stuck on anyone at the time, but it did give me a lot of excitement, I guess, about the idea of manifesting the ideal person for me. I had spent a lot of time leading up to this feeling pretty dejected because I was really looking at the world from a scarcity perspective. And I was 40 at this point, and I was just thinking, I just had the dumbest thoughts about this. Like, I almost can't believe it was me. I was just thinking, oh, it's all over. There's no one left. Because I am 40, no one will want me. Nothing else about me matters. Like, I had a lot of really weird ideas. I don't know where I got them from, honestly. Just society, I guess. I don't know. But that was still a little bit of a thing that was making me nervous, I guess, although I wasn't really too worried about it because of the state I was in. I was in sort of a post-revelatory bliss state. And reading Neville Goddard really just knocked the rest of that away from me. It just swept it away completely. I was just like, okay, this is the idea that I'm not going to have what I want here is absolutely absurd. I'm absolutely going to have what I want. In fact, my romantic fulfillment is a done deal. Now I know that because everything else is a done deal. Why would it be any different about this? So I was, I got kind of excited, and I really wasn't in a place yet where I should have even been thinking about getting in a relationship because I was kind of like, I kind of had something else going on in that area. Nothing it was satisfying, but I kind of had something else going on, and I was also still not really totally over the last thing I had been in, which was a relationship with somebody that I had ended. It was a very confusing relationship, and just in case that person like ever sees this, I don't want to get too far into his personal shit, but suffice it to say that 5 years later, it's quite obvious what was going on. But at the time, I was very confused about why things weren't working with us. Like, it seemed like they should have. And he was saying all the right things and stuff, but then it just, anyway, whatever. That will make more sense when I get to how this manifested. Okay. So let me just leave that there. So anyway, that was the weird space I was in. And I decided I was against my better judgment. I'm like, well, I just want to imagine, I had a scene in my mind. I'm like, we're standing in the kitchen. We're engaged. We're not married yet, but we're engaged. And it's Christmas, because it was like around Christmas, and Christmas is my favorite time of year. And it's just a good feeling to imagine Christmassy feeling. And, we're just standing in the kitchen, and this person refers to me as the future Mrs. whatever. And I didn't have a name, obviously. And it was really hard to like imagine this without a person there. And I didn't want to do it with the person I was kind of involved with at that time. I wasn't. I had a friend, whatever. I've talked about him on this channel. I didn't want to do it with him. I don't know. I guess I wasn't really that interested in, we were just friends, and I don't know. I couldn't like pop, so I didn't want to manifest him doing that. Let me put it that way. I wasn't sure I wanted that with him. And so my former boyfriend, the one that I was so confused in the relationship with, I popped him in that scene, and it was like immediately made sense. It just immediately made sense. Like, he was the person in that scene saying those words, and it just made sense. And so I thought, why am I not just doing this? I've always been really kind of against anything having to do with other people, because nothing and no one to change but self has pretty much always been the creed that I live by. This is why Neville appealed to me so much, and why so much of the interpretation of Neville just makes no sense to me. Like, people are just missing the point entirely. But this is the one and only time that I think done anything like this with somebody. I just decided to like do the specific person thing with this guy. And so, I tried like imagining some things about us, like in the future. I had a couple of like scenarios that I came up with where we were together and stuff, but they were just sort of grainy, vague. I couldn't really feel them, because that just wasn't what was going to work. Let me put it that way. On some level, I sensed that was not doing anything. It wasn't doing anything for me. It wasn't doing anything for him. Nothing was shifting. You can feel it when something has worked. And I was just like, okay, this is like a nice fantasy, but this isn't moving me. And so what I did was I thought about it a little bit, and I said, you know what? I really feel like the problem in that relationship was both of us. I had not had this big shift in self-concept yet. And I said, we were a match, because I had this problem with myself, and he also has a major self-concept issue. That's clear. I've made this shift. I'm continuing to sort of grow into this shift. I'm doing what I need to do. So all I need to do is imagine him, and this is good for him. And I'm only going to do this for him. I'm not going to do this to get an outcome. I'm going to imagine him happy, just like radiating peace, radiating a feeling of self-acceptance. He already radiated a really nice vibe. It felt really good to be with him. And so it was kind of, I could kind of imagine what it felt like to be with him normally. And I was like, this vibe that he radiates is going to be, he has like totally accepted himself. He's completely comfortable with who he is. there's no shame. Everything he's ashamed about now, he's let go. He is feeling whole. He's in touch with the fact that he's whole. And I imagined that. I imagined him sitting, I could imagine his house because I've been in it, obviously. I imagined him on his couch and I was sitting there with him, and he was just radiating this feeling of, that I could feel, obviously, because I was the only one actually feeling it. Radiating this feeling of peace, self-acceptance. No need to be what other people need me to be anymore. No need to be somewhere I'm not. No need to have achieved a certain level that all my friends have that I haven't. That kind of thing. I think those were some of the things that he was really struggling with. Like, he felt like he should be somewhere he wasn't. And he was also much younger. I was 39 and he was 32 when we were dating. And so he was still young, and this was very easy for me to imagine. It was just very easy for me to see this actually happening. And I would honestly imagine, if it hasn't already happened today, 5 years later, it's well on its way. I know that he is going to get to that place. I know it. And so I just experienced this feeling of him being happy and whole. And in my mind, I said, if he was in that state and I was in my best state, we are a perfect match. I don't have to do anything else. I don't have to, will I ever get to the point where I'm in that state? Will he? I don't know. That's my intention for myself, and it's my intention for him. And if we are never together again, which it certainly looks like we're not going to be, if we're never together again, I want nothing but the best for him. I still want this. This isn't selfish. It's for everyone. There's no way that this doesn't benefit everyone. He's completely healed. He's completely whole. He's completely happy with himself and completely at peace. And that was the most healing thing. After I did this, I think I did this, obviously I did it at least once. I might have done it twice, but it was such a profound experience to, in my imagination, see this person that I really cared for, having gotten to a place where they were so happy. That was like, it was just the experience. It changed something. It moved me. It shifted everything. I just didn't ever feel like sad about the relationship again. I didn't feel, I don't know. It was like I let the relationship that we had go in that act. And so that was, I don't know, that was like the end of December 2019. And in the meantime, between then and like Valentine's Day, I had a bunch of stuff started coming up with my friend that I was hanging out with, but that, we didn't, I don't know, whatever. I don't want to tell that story again, but there was other things going on in my life besides this SP thing. And it really annoyed me to not have had something happen like immediately, because, when I put a lot of mental effort into something, there is a direct result, or I don't want anything to do with it. That's just like, that's how I run my business. That's how I do everything with like physical fitness, weight loss, stuff like that is frustrating in the same way that manifestations are, because you have to do things and just kind of have faith that what you did was enough and do things to the best of your ability. And there's a lag, there's a delay with the physical, visible results in your body. There's obviously things happening immediately. I think it's a great parallel to manifestation. There's obviously things happening immediately. The first day that you go do a good, like healthy workout where you're not killing yourself, but you're doing enough and you eat the right foods and all of that, there are things happening in your body that you can't see. And if you could see them, I was just talking about this with Cecilia, if you could see them, you'd be like so excited, but because you can't, it's just the same thing with your manifestation. What if you, intended something for your specific person and you could see where they were and you could see that something had impacted them and that they were thinking a new thought or something like that. You'd be so excited. You wouldn't like be checking up on them. Well, you probably would, but you know, you would feel so much better if you could see the evidence. But unfortunately, we're still at the point where we have to have faith everywhere. We don't have like sophisticated enough body monitors to be able to see what's happening real time. You can't see where some fat burned off of your body. Like, wouldn't you be so excited if you got a big ass and like you could see that, oh, like even if it was just a little tiny amount, like I just burned that much fat off my ass, you'd be like, okay, I've only got to do this 100 more times and my ass will be the size I want it to be. Anyway, it was really frustrating me that I couldn't, you know, I just like couldn't see anything going on. Like, and so I sent SP a text, sort of like, it was the first time we had talked. I sent him a text. I forget saying what. And he responded back. First of all, he took a long time to respond, which I didn't take personally because he was like that when we were together. He was so social and so focused on everyone, like pleasing everyone, that my texts would just get lost in the shuffle. And I didn't take it personally, but it was so annoying. I found so many things about this relationship irritating, like being prioritized at the same level as friends that you party with. I was just like, this doesn't work for me. And that is a large part of why I ended the relationship. And the thing about it, that the only reason that I wasn't like, oh, screw this guy forever, is because I don't think he wanted that. I don't think that I think he felt obligated to do that. And so I didn't take it like he's not prioritizing me because he doesn't want to. It's that he feels like he has to maintain all of this or he will not be okay. Anyway, just to explain that, why that I wasn't just like, but anyway, he took forever to respond to this text in the same way he always had. And I was just like, okay, nothing has changed, which was a knee-jerk reaction and wrong on my part. And I just got super annoyed with it. And I just said, wow, I'm done with this. Like, I'm done with anything having to do with the manifestation. I'm dropping this. This was just a bad idea. I don't even know if I want to be with him anyway, blah, blah, blah. You know, I just, at the first sign of him still being the same way he was, I'm like, yeah, I dumped this. I dumped this for a good reason. And I'm just done. It got a lot less interesting to me. And then on Valentine's Day, he texted me and said, "Happy Valentine's Day, Maggie. I'm really glad that I can send you this text." And I was just like, what? I don't know. Maybe a week after that, I sent a text to him saying something like, look, I don't know. I don't remember what I said, but I was he gave me the exact answer that if you were detachedly and unemotionally looking at a manifestation, he gave me the exact answer that you would want to get, to know that something had happened. But I didn't take it that way. It was, what he had said was, I don't know who I am or what I'm doing with my life. I don't know what my life is going to be. He basically gave me this big diatribe about him being aware of all of the stuff that basically was causing us to not be able to have a real relationship, in my opinion. But I got really upset. I was like blinded by, I don't know what. I wish I could recall. But after that, I was just done with it. I was like, forget it. He's a lost cause. He texted me a few more times over the next few months. During this time, I was in lockdown with my friend Steve. That's a whole other story. Videos in the beginning of this channel about that for sure. I was in lockdown with my friend Steve. And then things transpired. That was out the door. Again, I all of these things work out. It's just like, yes, you can manifest a specific person, but it's really difficult to do that coming from the right place, because like I always say on here, it's these specific person manifestations are almost like a gotcha, because by the time they manifest, The thing that you've done to make them manifest has already changed you to the point where that's no longer something that you want. And that's exactly what happened to me with my friend Steve. I didn't really do a lot of stuff with him, but as things about me changed, his reaction to me changed, and eventually he also was like, willing or whatever. That's the fact that it's willing isn't a big reason about why I was just like, screw this. But it's like, he wanted to be in a relationship at one point then, like he wouldn't do that like the whole time. Then he wanted it. And the specific person, the final manifestation. So this is how my specific person manifested the last time I ever talked to him. We had this long conversation via text, as always, where he was really, he was like elucidating all of these things about himself that he had figured out. And he was telling me, I know that this is why things didn't work with us. And I always thought that you were perfect for me. And, I got this big, long thing where, everything he would need to be aware of in order to begin the process of getting to that point that I had imagined him at, he was there. I mean, you can't solve problems that you're not aware of, as they say, right? So I don't know. He was aware of all of this stuff. And for me, it just had to end there because I had already met Matt. And so I just I was not interested in pursuing that anymore, even though I think that person is wonderful and has probably, was so capable that he probably has already changed all of that stuff. And, it was too late, and I was already getting into something with someone else, and that was the person I chose. And I'm not sorry that I did. So, I think that's how these things play out frequently. But the point of telling you all of this and the point of that story, two things. One thing. People in this community are always talking about how you're the God of your reality and you do whatever you want. You change whoever into whoever you want them to be. But yet it doesn't seem to be an acceptable thing for you as the God of your reality to say, I don't want that anymore. I want something else. It's like if you make a specific person intention, then you must follow it through. God of your universe, you have to do what I say. You have to follow this through. No, you don't. You don't have to do shit. You can do whatever you want. And that's what I did. I mean, I can't imagine if I had not gone through all the stuff I went through with my friend in lockdown because I was so focused on this person and, living in the end as though he was my husband or something. That would have been insane. To live my life outwardly as though I was in a husband relationship with somebody. You understand why that's crazy and why it's not any part of this? A lot of the stuff that happens that changes things and that moves the pieces of your manifestation into place, a lot of those things happen when you're not looking at it, when you're doing something else. Like when you're dating another guy, when you're, completely have your attention turned away, is when all these things are happening in the background that you can't see. But I think it's hard to figure that out until you actually let go somehow. And so I would do, if I were you, I would do the exact thing that I did, which is first and foremost, commit to you getting to the state of complete peace and happiness and bliss without anything else, without having the perfect relationship or the perfect bank account or whatever. Get to the point where you are good without that. Just commit to it. You don't have to get to it right now. It could be a lifelong process, but accept the idea that this is about you getting to that point and that that's the important thing. And then wish the same for this person that you're fixated on with no strings attached. which I think for some people is very difficult to do, because the idea of that person not being with you and being happy is somehow a reflection on your worth. And that's where you have the work to do on you. It's got nothing to do with that person or what they do with their life or who they're with. It's all about you. But I also wanted to say, because people always use Neville Goddard as the excuse for avoiding themselves, which is funny, avoiding themselves and focusing on the other person and changing the other person. They say, well, Neville said this one line in this one book. In Feeling is the Secret, Neville says, don't tell other, I'm paraphrasing heavily, obviously, don't tell somebody how you want them to act. Just see them being that way. One line in one book. And it's like the SP coaches will take this one line from this one book and write a whole book on it that has nothing to do with Neville Goddard. You know, you have to take Neville Goddard in context. All of the surrounding concepts and ideas around that one sentence, literally all, are about you. They're about you seeing yourself as the best version of you and becoming that. Assuming it, taking it on, meaning appropriating it, not, I assume I'm going to become that. That's not what it is. It's being that, embodying that, and living with the certainty that through the embodiment of that, the 3D will conform. That's Neville Goddard. And all the context surrounding these sentences. And by the way, these people always, they never ever bring up the story where Neville talks about being at a wedding for a woman who had 6 months earlier told him, I must manifest this specific man. I mean, there's a direct refutation in Neville Goddard's literature about this. He says to this woman, you don't want that man, you want a man. You don't want that man. If he died, would you spend the rest of your life alone? Well, no. You don't want that man. You want a marriage, a happy marriage. And then he's at their wedding, attending their wedding, where she's sheepishly looking at him because she's marrying a different guy than the one she said she must have. They never talk about that. And they also say that Neville Goddard manifested his specific person. No, Neville wasn't like rejected by somebody and then obsessed over them. You know, Neville met a woman and envisioned them together, and it came together because that's how everyone gets together. Like, you meet somebody, right? You meet somebody, you get interested. If you ended up in a relationship with them, it's because you imagined yourselves together, probably from both sides, and you ended up together. Like, this is boy meets girl, typical since the dawn of man stuff. That's what Neville did with his wife. He imagined being with her, and then he was with her. It wasn't some scene where, you know, he was horribly rejected and obsessing, and, you know, Neville Goddard was pretty clear on all of these concepts, pretty clear that there's nothing in no one to change but self. So Neville probably wasn't grappling with like a whole bunch of issues that were making him somebody incapable of being in a relationship. I don't know. The guy did die of cirrhosis of the liver, and that takes a lot of drinking. So, you know, you've got to just take the guy as being human and figure out what all this stuff means yourself. But without Neville Goddard there to like twist, to justify a whole lot of weird things, I don't think that this SP community would exist the way it does. But I will tell you this also, this video is really long, sorry. I'll tell you this, in my earlier days, in between my first and second businesses, I worked doing some internet marketing, writing articles, and promoting products. And one of the big topics for info products that people were pushing circa 2010, this will come as no surprise to you, how to get your ex back. How to get your ex back was a huge search term. If you were going to advertise something having to do with that, the cost per click on like Google, and I don't know about Facebook. I don't know if Facebook was even advertising then, but it was super high, you know, and it was just a huge topic. This is, you know, the lovelorn are the most desperate, and it's well known in any sort of industry where you provide something to the desperate, that people will pay anything when they need a problem solved. People, you know, and that's how these SP people are getting rich. they're preying on the desperate. And honestly, I think it is predatory in a lot of cases, in a lot of ways. But yeah, how to get your ex back. Biggest topic, biggest info seller. Tons of people clamoring to promote and sell these products because they were so easily sold to people. You know, it's the most desperate buyer that there is out there. Yeah, so that's how the SP community came to be. It morphed from how to get your ex back products to how to get your ex back without even doing anything, just using your imagination. See, here, this guy did it. This guy says you can do it. The boiled down gist of what Neville Goddard says in relation to other people is see them as their highest, happiest self. I was very gratified as I was reading Neville to see this, because it was that was my own conclusion about this specific person that I had, was that he had to basically fully heal. And his fully healed self, my fully healed self, I didn't even have to worry about it coming together, because if that was the right thing for me, it would absolutely happen. But mostly I was concerned with, well, am I there? And the answer was no. So where's the work? The work's with me. So it was really gratifying. I felt like I was supported by Neville Goddard as I was reading it. But anyway, that's what I would tell you to do. And it's very healing. It's a very healing thing if you can love somebody to the point where what you really want for them is happiness. You know, there's that thing that they read at weddings, that the Bible verse, I think, about, you know, love is patient, love is kind. Read that Bible verse. That's what love actually is. That's what love is when you're okay. Not saying that you don't have any needs in relationships, but that is the general feeling, I think, that you feel towards somebody when you're really in touch with the fact that you are already whole and complete all by yourself. You don't have these needs from other people, and you don't have this inclination to hope things like, if they're not with me, I hope they're not happy. Stuff like that. I mean, that's all about you. All about you. Okay, wow, I didn't expect this to be 32 minutes long. But anyway, by the way, just to wrap up that SP thing, you know, that was like the last conversation we had was that big thing where he was telling me all these realizations he'd had about himself, and you know, he said some pretty satisfying things to me about me and about how he felt about me and stuff. And he texted me a few months later on my birthday, and I didn't respond. I was already with Matt. I was in the thick of a bunch of things happening here in this reality. And I didn't even know if he, you know, I was like, I'm probably on his Rolodex. It probably popped up that it was my birthday. I doubt he remembered it was my birthday. I had the same birthday as his mom, though. So anyway, he'll probably think of me on his mom's birthday in general. But he texted me. I didn't reply. I didn't want to open a dialogue at all. And then I was already living in my current house when this happened. So it had to be at least 2 years later. His friend texted me while they were out at a bar and said, oh God, it was a short text, but it said, oh, SP and I were just talking about you and how great you are, and we really hope that everything's going great for you. And I was like, did you really just have your friend text me? Or are you sitting there drunkenly talking about me, and your friend's like, I'm going to text her. I'm going to get you guys back together. I'm sure it was a girl. It was a girlfriend of his that I really did not like. That was the other thing. I really, really did not like this person. And yeah, she texted me, and she had my number from when we were together, obviously. And I didn't reply to that either, but I was like, well, dunno, I guess I'm unforgettable. anyway, that's the last I've heard from him. And I wish him nothing but the best. I truly hope that he gets everything he wants. Like, I just thought he was a great person, and I really felt like the only thing wrong with him, the thing causing all of his problems, the thing causing all of everyone's problems, was this just inability to see how wonderful he was and how he wasn't missing anything, and he didn't need to be ashamed or be anywhere he wasn't or any of that. It's so easy for me to see that in others, but it's so hard to see it in myself. So anyway, that's all. Leave that there. I don't know. I consider that to be a success, personally. I don't know. I mean, if the only success would be that I stuck to the manifestation and drilled through it for years and years until, I don't know, if that's the only success, then screw SP success, because fuck that. Anyway, have a good day.